Well, Molly, we do have a prominent Democrat speaking out about this, and his name is former President Barack Obama, about what activists need to do to resist Trump.
It has been easy during most of our lifetimes to say you are a progressive and not have to pay a price for it. Now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit.
Sacrifice what? Your Tesla that you bought? I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, well, he's talking to a college audience there, which I think is worth noting, and why some of the applause lines that he hits actually got applause. He goes into some of the things that are happening across the country and how people should be pushing back, and not just the students, but entities. He says if you're a law firm being threatened, you might have to say, okay, we'll lose some business. But then he goes on, if you're a university, you may have to figure out, are we in fact doing things right? Have we violated our own values, our own code, violated the law in some fashion? If not, you're being intimidated. He goes on to say, we'll stand up for what we believe in, and we'll pay our researchers for a while out of that endowment. We'll give up the extra wing or the fancy gymnasium, that we can delay that for a couple of years because of academic freedom. So he's going specifically at university students in this particular course of action. I think it might be better received than it was when he was scolding African-American men for lagging their support of Kamala Harris. So he knows his audience, and he's going for a group that he thinks he can mobilize.
Well, he is a former community organizer, so maybe he's getting back into that as the elections continue to lose for him. But meanwhile, speaking of Democrats, there is a civil war brewing within the Democratic Party, and it looks like the far left is taking control. So Chuck Schumer better look out. The Senate Minority Leader is losing by double digits to AOC in a new poll for the 2028 New York Senate primary. AOC has been rallying against a made-up oligarchy with Bernie Sanders, and the two have been making some waves, but even Bernie is trying his best not to get in the middle of the civil war.
Alexandria is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress, and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her joining the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No.
Nonsense to ask about Chuck Schumer potentially being primaried and losing to AOC. Do you think that she could win a Senate seat in New York?
Possibly. I mean, never say never. If she gets the nomination for that party in this state, I mean, she'd probably be the favorite to win, right? So, and it's not an unreasonable question to ask, by the way. I know that was a couple weeks ago, but Bernie Sanders was all mad about it. AOC, on their little publicity tour they were doing, was talking about Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona, being like, hey, if you don't have a senator who fights hard enough for you, you replace them. And that was not all that subtle, some of the undertones potentially about Chuck Schumer. And one other note, the oligarchy complaint. This goes back to my first point. They're not against oligarchy. They want a small number of powerful people controlling our lives. They just want it to be them.
Right.
Right? That's again, the hypocrisy, I think, when they decry something that they actually support.
Joe, politically, if you look at the way that the country voted in November, every single place went to the right, some more than others. And yet the Democrats are moving even further to their left. Yeah. When they're trying to figure out what their future is and who should be the head of the party, as if they weren't progressive or far left enough with their policy positions during that election.
Katie, they should pick up a history book, because Bill Clinton took a shellacking in the '94 midterms. He could have gone two things. He could have gone more to the left or went to the center. Smart. Went to the center, welfare reform, balanced budget amendments. He gets easily reelected. The party is embracing the far left here, and their voters seem to be more energized towards going more towards the left. We see these polls now, top 4 presidential candidates, and you see Kamala Harris, the most liberal senator that we had before she was vice president, AOC, Bernie, right? And when I was at that protest today, I asked, who would you support in 2028 on the Democratic side? Number one answer, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not for Senate, for president. Bernie Sanders, number 2, two self-declared Democratic socialists. AOC supports $6 trillion in the Green New Deal, ending fossil fuels, ending offshore drilling, and is against all deportations for illegals, including gang members. If they want to go down that road, they'll lose 50 states.
She's also pro-terrorism, which would be a hard things to sell in New York as well.
Well, there's some polling, 55% likely Democratic voters preferring Ocasio-Cortez. That's a new survey conducted by the Data for Progress liberal organization, but just 36% preferred Schumer. So there's some evidence to show that there's a part of the party that is very much energized on the left, and also perhaps looking for those reins to be handed off, with Bernie Sanders still perhaps feeling a little bit bitter about what happened with what they even might acknowledge was rigged within the Democratic Party back in 2016, and Hillary Clinton and all the money and everything that went on. They might be looking for, their next flag bearer as they go forward, getting ready to make that happen.
The other effect that this has is because that energy is on the hard left flank of the party, the more normal Democrats, if you can call them that, are very much feeling that heat, and they see where that's going, and they drift that direction because that's where their base is. So even the more moderate Democrats are probably feeling like they can't be very moderate right now without really ticking off their own base. So that drags the entire party leftward.
We will be watching that very closely.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.